I'm Sister Euphrasia Masika. I belong to the Institute of the Daughters of St. Teresa of the Child Jesus, commonly known as Banya Teresa Sisters, founded in 1937 in Uganda, western part of it, in the city of Fort Portal. Currently, I'm the director for Catholic Care for Children in Uganda, a program under the Association of Religious in Uganda, ARU. I'm the director of that program. It is all about our faith. Our faith tells us that a family is the best place where a child should grow from, simply because it is rooted in the Bible. It was God's original plan that a child should live in a family. And we find this in Genesis chapter 2, verse 28, when God said to man, "Go, multiply, and fill the earth." And there are other biblical texts that confirm to us that a child belongs to a family. And even Jesus himself came to us through a holy family of Nazareth. As God, maybe he would have just dropped from heaven, but God chose that he also be born in a family, grew up in a family. So it is showing us that God originally respected a family, and so we have to follow suit. In addition, a family offers a child a chance to belong. In a family, a child belongs to a wider community. He or she grows up with siblings, with other relatives. In a family, a child receives individualized care, contrary to institution where a caregiver is like looking after 30 children. Surely you cannot expect someone to give that individual kind of care to 30 children, like where one child is cared for by about 5 people in a family. In a family, it's where the children learn the values. In every culture, whichever culture, a child learns about the values of that community, of that culture, in a family. Imagine an institution, child care institution. You find children coming from different cultures, different languages, different religions. But here they are compelled to speak one language. They are compelled, to bend low to whatever the caregiver is telling them to do. And unfortunately, in child care institutions, caregivers work in shifts, like 1 week or 2 weeks. When a child is getting used to the way this caregiver is taking care of her, how he's handling him, then the shift ends and another caregiver comes in with his or her own way of taking care of the child. So in the end, this child is confused. She will pick something from this caregiver, something from another one, and in the end, he loses identity. In a family, a child is helped to grow up responsibly. As a girl or as a boy, there are tasks that we do which differ, especially in the African context. A girl is being taught how to prepare a meal. A boy is prepared how to take care of the animals. But now in a home, in a child care institution, these children come and they find food at a table. They don't know how this food has been prepared. They don't know how much it took to have the food at table. So they grew up with a dependence syndrome. So much so that at the end of it, even if they are reintegrated in the community, they become a misfit. They don't know how to fend for themselves because they grow up, getting things for free. They think, everything is there for them. So when they grow up, it becomes hard for them to struggle to fend for themselves. And because they take things for granted, they don't even struggle at school. They don't do well at school because it's like everything is there. Now, why should I suffer? And in most cases, we find that they don't perform well at school. So a family is better than an institution. When a child is admitted to a child care institution, the first thing is to assess, where does this child come from? Is it an abandoned case that maybe the child was abandoned alongside the road, at the doorstep of the church, was abandoned in the hospital? If such is the case, then you have to do all it takes to find out if it was this particular region. You go back to that region. You work with the duty bearers and especially the government to find out, was there any lady that was pregnant? She is no longer pregnant and you don't see the child. So the local council people, they will help to find out. If you totally fail to trace who the parent of this child could be, then you think of what we call alternative care homes. And these include foster parents. Foster parents are the parents that can take on this child for a specified time. Someone, a good Samaritan, a person with a good heart will say, let me go and take care of this child's needs, either for 1 year or for 2 years. If he or she thinks he can now take on this child for life, and this is what we call adoption. So she will have fostered in order to adopt. She will have lived with the child for 2 years, then she thinks she has the capacity, the capability to take on the child. So other alternative homes or families are foster families or adoptive families. But all this we do through the courts of law. We don't simply give out children to adoptive or foster parents. We have to go through the courts of law. And these families have to be assessed to be proved worthy or capable of taking good care of the children. Otherwise, we may be doing more harm to the children than before. And all should be in the best interest of the child. If a child is of a reasoning age, she or he has to be involved to know that I'm going to live in this family for my good, and she has to be given time also to try, what we call bonding phase. You take the child to his family, he lives with them maybe for 1 month or for 2 months, then the social worker or the administrator from the child care institution, they have to visit this family, this foster family or adoptive family, to find out how the child is faring. They will interact with the child, they will interact with the foster parent. If they find that they have bonded well, then they say it's okay, the child can remain here. But if the child shows signs of, I'm not happy, then we don't carry on the process to completion. This child is withdrawn and taken back to the child care institution because should be in his best interest. It's not a matter of you go to this family. No. What if the family is not safe for him or her? The changes that we are hoping, one, we want to see parents more responsible. So the sisters are doing everything it takes to make sure that we help the family, we strengthen the family. Because when families are not strengthened, then that's when we see of the separation. Because separation takes place when there is something wrong at the family. So the sisters are doing everything it takes to make sure how do we strengthen the families to prevent more separation. We want to work towards prevention of separation of children. We don't want to see many children coming to these child care institutions. And we've realized that some parents are irresponsible. So we want to help them be responsible parents because we tell them it is their primary duty. It's their primary duty to take care of the children that God has given them. So it's our work to show them these children are a gift from God, and it is your primary responsibility to take care of them. So if we see those risk factors, we work towards minimizing them. We work towards minimizing the risk factors that will lead to separation. And we are doing this through counseling and guidance. We work with families where there is violence to bring the two partners together. Because if violence continues, then especially domestic violence, then surely it is the child who suffers. Another point is we see in Africa, children come to institutions because of basic needs, like education, like health, like they don't have enough food at home. So we are also working towards family economic strengthening so that a family is supported to help itself to manage its financial needs. And we are doing this through what we call livelihood enterprises. We partner with organizations who are good at training at grass level in livelihood enterprises, so that these members, then we support them with startup capital. At least they go and learn something, go and put it in practice, and we do the follow-up to make sure there is value for money. So when we give them, we give them money, but we do the follow-up. The skills that they learned, whether they are being put to use, and we support them so that, they can earn some money and be able to support their children. So we do counseling, we do family economic strengthening, we do parenting skills. There is training in parenting skills. So we want to see a change of parents who are responsible. They have the skills, they are not harsh to the children. Sometimes children run away from families because parents are too harsh. In disciplining the children, they go beyond. A child will say, "I'm sorry, I can no longer live with mother," because any slight mistake, the punishment is too heavy. And then so that's why we train them in parenting skills. It is not the heavy punishment that will correct, the behavior of this child. So we want to see parents who are responsible, who are good, who are loving to their children. The other thing that I would love people to hear is the collaboration. This work is not a one-man show. Having children back to families is not a one-man show. It's not only the sisters that have to do it all alone. From experience, it needs joint effort. Because as I've mentioned, the religious are at their convents, but then the family is somewhere at a distance and in a community. So we usually use a multisectoral approach to assist this family to make sure the child goes back to a safe family. But we can't do it alone. So especially the government people, we take them as primary duty bearers. Because by constitution, like in Uganda, they say all children belong to the government. So like we are doing the work which government would be doing, but because the government cannot reach everywhere, and because for us religious, it is our charism, we have a passion for the children. So we can't wait for government to go and intervene while we are sitting up, we are sitting and looking on. So I appeal to the government everywhere we work to support the work that the sisters are doing, because we cannot do it alone, and sometimes we need their, especially obtaining care orders. For instance, you can't have the child in a child care institution without a care order from the government. A foster parent cannot take a child to live with the child without a care order. The same with adoption. And all these are obtained from the government offices at different levels. So kindly support our work to make it easier. And not only now the government, also other partners, like community-based organizations. For instance, our work will make sure a child is placed back to a family. But then you may find that this child needs education, and the family may not have the money to see this child study up like to university level. So now it means we need other partners in the education sector who can make sure that this child now can have the education he or she needs. The same with health institutions, health facilities. These children, even if they go back home, they will fall sick often. But when they go to the health facility, do they find there the drugs? And if they are too expensive, it may be too expensive for this poor family to afford. What are we doing to make sure that this child gets the medication he or she needs at an affordable price? In that way, we'll all be combining hands to make sure this child grows to full potential.